It's June 8th, 2025, and you're watching this report. What would you do if the leader of your country was convicted of felonies? Those serious crimes like fraud or corruption, usually involving jail time or fines? Well, if you live in the US, you don't have to imagine it. It's happening right now. It's creating a firestorm of controversy. In early 2024, the US president was found guilty of falsifying business records in connection to a hush money payment during the 2016 campaign. He was accused of lying to cover up a payment to silence a former adult film star who alleged a sexual encounter. The case got upgraded to a felony because the alleged lie affected the election results. A jury in Manhattan agreed, finding the president guilty on 34 counts. In January 2025, he was sentenced, but not in the way most would expect. Rather than jail time or fines, the judge surprisingly gave him an unconditional discharge, meaning the conviction stands, but he faces no immediate punishment. So what does that mean? Is he off the hook? How's he getting away with this? And what does it say about our justice system and global leadership? Let's dig in. First, we need to understand the crime. Falsifying business records is about lying in official documents like tax returns or financial reports. Usually it's associated with cheating or hiding money. In this case, the president was said to have disguised a payment to cover up the alleged sexual encounter. Now, you might wonder why such a big deal. After all, most people lie in forms or documents all the time. But these were campaign documents that impacted the election. That's why it became a felony. Next, we need to understand the trial. It was held in New York and covered extensively by CNN and Reuters. CNN highlighted expert testimonies linking the alleged lie directly to campaign documents. Reuters focused on the legal maneuvers like discussions around executive privilege. Remember, this wasn't just any person on trial. It was the sitting US president. So it wasn't surprising that the trial generated so much attention. Finally, we need to consider the verdict and sentence. The jury found the president guilty of all 34 counts. However, the sentence came as a shock to many. Instead of jail time or fines, the president was given an unconditional discharge. This means the conviction remains, but he faces no further punishment. This sparked outrage, as most people thought a felony called for stronger consequences. Some even argued that a previous president in similar circumstances would have faced harsher treatment. Now that we're caught up, you might be wondering why this verdict matters. First, it's unprecedented. No other sitting or former president has faced such charges and walked away without punishment. Second, it challenges our justice system. Many feel that regular citizens would face harsher treatment for similar crimes, raising questions about equal justice under the law. Third, it impacts the presidency. The president now holds the distinction of being the first in history with a felony conviction while in office. This sets a new precedent and could change how presidents behave or are held accountable. Fourth, it has global implications. Other countries and world leaders are watching how the US handles this situation, as it reflects on America's commitment to justice and could affect future diplomatic dealings. Finally, it shapes political discourse. People are passionately debating whether the conviction should impact the president's leadership. Some believe it doesn't, as voters chose to re-elect him. Others argue it should disqualify him, citing concerns about his judgment or trustworthiness. This case has taken a bizarre twist. On June 8th, 2025, it rocketed to the top of online discussions, generating heated arguments and viral debates. Why is this happening now? Well, it comes down to 4 factors. First, the recent verdict and sentencing brought renewed attention to the case. With everyone reacting to the surprising outcome, people dug deeper into the details, reigniting interest in the whole scandal. Second, social media platforms like X became battlegrounds for supporters and critics. With passionate opinions on both sides, it became a space for airing grievances and amplifying different perspectives. This led to viral discussions and debates, turning it into one of the hottest topics online. Third, continuous news updates fueled the conversation. Major outlets like CNN and Reuters kept publishing fresh analyses, legal updates, and political interpretations, giving people more fuel to discuss and react to the story. This constant stream of new information helped maintain the case prominence in people's minds. Finally, the upcoming election intensified the stakes, turning the discussion into a referendum on the president's character and leadership. Voters are now more determined to make their voices heard leading to more engagement and debate around the conviction. If you're following this story, you probably already know that. But what's next? Here's what you need to watch for. First, the president's appeal. His lawyers plan to challenge the verdict, arguing that evidence was protected by presidential immunity. This is based on a new Supreme Court ruling from 2024. However, the slow process could drag on for months or even years. Second, public reaction. Polls show a mixed bag. Some voters say the conviction won't impact their support, while others claim they'd back someone else in 2024. This trend could grow, especially if more details emerge or new controversies arise. Third, the confirmation hearings. These will be crucial in assessing the impact of the conviction. Senators grill nominees on their views about the conviction. It could reflect broader concerns about the president's fitness to lead. Fourth, global implications. Countries and world leaders are closely observing this situation. If the president is seen as too damaged to lead effectively, it could strain relationships or limit cooperation. Finally, the media spotlight. Keep an eye on CNN and Reuters, as they're likely to continue covering developments, analyzing the verdict, and unpacking new details. Their coverage will shape public understanding and influence how people discuss and react to the case. As you follow this story, here are a few key questions to keep in mind. Do you think the president's conviction changes how you view his leadership? Or do you believe voters' decision overrides legal judgments? How do you think this conviction reflects on America's commitment to justice and its impact on the country's reputation? And what kind of precedent do you think this sets for future presidents and world leaders facing similar situations? Your answers to these questions can help you navigate the complexities of this issue and contribute to meaningful conversations about it. Ultimately, the president's felony convictions are reshaping American politics and global perceptions. As the story continues to evolve, it will be essential to stay informed, engage in thoughtful discussions, and consider the broader implications for leadership, justice, and international relations. So keep an eye on this developing situation and be prepared to have your perspectives challenged and refined as new information emerges. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Kim States. Our mission is to make global politics easy to understand. We do that by breaking down complex topics like science, history, and geopolitics into bite-sized, easy-to-understand chunks. If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to never miss an upload. You can also join the conversation by leaving your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us create more informative and engaging content for you. Thanks for watching. Stay curious and keep learning. Felony convictions in the U.S. president. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kim States, where we break down complex topics like science, history, and geopolitics into bite-sized, easy-to-understand chunks. Today, we're diving into a hot topic dominating headlines and social media as of June 8th, 2025. The current U.S. president's felony convictions. Stick with us to unpack what's going on, why it matters, and what people are saying. Let's get started. So here's the basics. The current U.S. president, whose identity we'll keep general for now, has been convicted of multiple felony charges. These aren't minor issues. Felonies are serious crimes in the U.S., like fraud or corruption, often carrying heavy penalties like prison time. The convictions stem from a high-profile case that wrapped up earlier this year, with details emerging from trials covered by major outlets like CNN and Reuters. What's unique here is that this ISNT, just about any citizen at S, the president, the leader of the free world. The case involves allegations of falsifying business records tied to a hush money scandal from the 2016 election cycle, which was elevated to felony status due to its impact on the election. A New York jury found the president guilty on 34 counts back in May 2024, and sentencing happened in January 2025. Surprisingly, the judge opted for no jail time or fines, just an unconditional discharge, meaning the conviction stands, but there's no punishment for now. This has left people scratching their heads and fueling the debate. So why is this a big deal? The U.S. Constitution sets only 3 rules for being president. You must be a natural-born citizen, at least 35 years old and a resident for 14 years. There's no ban on felons running or serving, which is why this president can still hold office despite the convictions. Historically, Eugene V. Debs ran for president from prison in 1920, but he didn't win. This case is the first time a sitting or former president has been convicted and then re-elected or continued in power. The lack of punishment raises questions about legal standards. Critics argue it shows a double standard. Regular people with felonies face job bans, voting restrictions, or prison, while the president walks free. Supporters say the conviction was politically motivated, pointing to polls where 83% of Republicans felt it was unfair. This split is tearing at the idea of equal justice under the law, a cornerstone of American democracy. Now let's talk about why this is trending so hard on June 8, 2025. Social media, especially X, is buzzing with reactions. People are posting everything from outrage to defense, with the topic dominating trends today. The political weight is huge. Some see it as a test of leadership integrity. Can a convicted felon truly lead with moral authority? Others argue the legal system's being weaponized against the president, citing his ability to win re-election despite the charges. Supporters 1. It doesn't change my view of him as a leader. His actions don't reflect his presidency. 2. A president should be judged by their policies and leadership, not personal legal issues. 3. The charges were politically motivated to damage his reputation and derail his presidency. 4. The decision to not imprison the president sends a message that the justice system works and powerful people are held accountable, even if it's just symbolically. 5. He's already faced significant consequences by being publicly tried and convicted. Supporters also cite his strong win in the 2024 election as proof that voters do uphold the conviction against him. Critics 1. A president with a criminal record sets a bad example for the country and undermines the rule of law. 2. They can't separate his personal issues from his role as president. His behavior reflects poorly on the entire country. 3. Convicted felons shouldn't be allowed to hold such a high office. The president should uphold the highest ethical standards. 4. Re-election doesn't overturn the conviction. Voters might have made a mistake. 5. The lack of jail time trivializes the conviction. Only a small portion of the sentence would have been served by the end of his term anyway. The debate is intensifying with each passing day. People are taking sides and refusing to see nuance. This deep divide mirrors other contentious issues in the country, showing how emotions and politics can cloud judgment. CNN and Reuters keep the story alive with daily updates, giving context and analysis. For instance, they report that the judge had discretion in sentencing, but chose leniency, possibly considering the impact on the nation. However, critics question this move, believing it sets a dangerous precedent and weakens the justice system. X users amplify all this, creating viral debates with hashtags like #PresidentConviction and #Election224. People use it to vent frustrations, share opinions, and spread information. This blend of engagement and debate has made it one of the top talked about issues globally. The bigger picture? Geopolitics. Now let's zoom out. Geopolitically, this affects how the U.S. is viewed worldwide. Allies and adversaries alike are watching closely. A leader with felony convictions could weaken America's moral stance on human rights or corruption, especially when pushing land order policies. Critics of the president's conduct argue that it undermines the US's position on the global stage. A president with such baggage makes it harder to champion democracy abroad. Historically, this echoes scandals like Watergate, where President Nixon resigned in 1974 over lesser accusations. But Nixon wasn't convicted, just implicated. This case sets a new precedent, showing how far the legal system can go against a president, yet how little it can enforce. The administration's land order stance is under scrutiny too. Critics ask how a convicted leader can credibly enforce laws when their own record is tainted. Supporters counter that the public's vote in 2024, re-electing the president, overrides legal judgments, reflecting a shift in how Americans weigh character versus policy. In international relations, this conviction adds another layer of complexity. Trade deals, diplomatic trust, and global cooperation are all areas impacted by who leads the USA president, with legal issues could be seen as less reliable, less credible, and more susceptible to blackmail. Geopolitically, it's a headache for allies who need a strong, stable America. And finally, let's discuss what's next. The president's legal team is appealing the conviction, arguing that it relied on evidence protected by presidential immunity. New Supreme Court ruling from 2024, this could drag on for years. Appeals take time, and with the sentencing delay until after the election, suggesting political timing, it may be years before clarity comes. If the appeal fails, the conviction stays, but without jail time, it's more symbolic than practical for now. Public opinion will keep evolving. Polls show a divide, with some voters less likely to support a felon, while others see it as irrelevant. Globally, this could influence trade deals or diplomatic trust. Keep an eye on X, and news outlets' updates will shape how this story unfolds throughout 2025. This issue transcends age groups, genders, and races. It cuts across demographics, turning every dinner table into a debate zone. It's a topic that makes headlines and leads discussions from local to global. As the saying goes, ignorance is bliss, but knowledge is power. And that wraps up our exploration of the president, his felony convictions in 2025. We hope we shed some light on this complicated issue. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, and remember to stay tuned for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.